Coach, being younger, how have you identified what their strengths are within the system that you like to run, and how have you got them to adjust from it might not be where your strengths were in high school?
Um, we did a lot of work in the summertime. We got game from all these guys that are coming in, and we sat and watched a ton of game film and saw specifically what those strengths were. Got a better identification of what some of the weaknesses were, and then we also had extensive conversations with all of their AAU coaches and high school coaches to try to get a more in-depth look in terms of some of the things that they saw that they improved on, and some of the things that, where I'd ask those guys to be really honest and say, what are some of the struggles that we'll see once we get them here? Some guys are better learners, kinesthetic, they got to be on the court, you got to move them around. Some guys will learn quite a bit from film. Some guys retain information better than others. So we got a pretty good identification of that in the summertime. And in terms of like what they do with our system, and that's the reason why we recruited them. Carson McDonald, for instance, is a very good connector offensively. We play through our 5-man at the high post. He can pass the ball really, really well. He can identify situations. Chris is the same way. And those other guys, Cade, Dean, all those guys can shoot the basketball pretty well. So we really do value that. And then it just comes down to like decision making. Some of the things that they were able to get away with in high school, not as many good athletes, not as much length, not as much pressure. We ramped that up and shown that to them on a daily basis. So now they feel much more comfortable with it.
As a staff, do you feel like you've had to teach differently, not change your course, but teach differently because of those variances with your young players?
Absolutely. We knew that coming into it, that it was going to have to be slower. It was going to have to be reinforced and repeated over and over and over again. And so that wasn't a shock to us. It can be frustrating at times, but we knew that coming into it. But the guys have been great, man. And what really helps is the fact that we got so many returners that are coming back that have actually played. They played significant minutes, and those guys have stepped up with their voices in teaching the guys as well.
And scheduling, sometimes I know when you're on this level, you get pushed back, especially when you've shown a measure of success. You like to schedule aggressively. Have you felt any pushback on teams not wanting to schedule you?
No, not necessarily. In part because we had a lot of these things on the books throughout the season last year. So, nobody. I think we had to get one game, maybe two. And the biggest pushback was on certain dates. We want to try to get some dates around Christmas. Try to catch some teams slipping a little bit. But we got UVA. VCU was already on the books. GW obviously was already on the books. So we haven't had that. If we have success this year, I would assume next year there could be some of that. But I think on paper, people see that we have so many young players. They're like, hey, we'll play you anytime, anywhere, which is great.